Back in 2014, there was a series I initially ignored, and all these years later I've regretted it. Over the Garden Wall is the best example I've seen of making a dark cartoon work, in more ways than one. This miniseries follows Wirt and Greg as they travel through a forest trying to find their way back home, and during their travels, they come across new characters, settings, and stories that will make their trek back home memorable, but deep down, there's a darker story and character following them. And that's all I can say without fully spoiling what I feel is one of the best cartoons Cartoon Network has put out in the 2010s. Sure, we have Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Gumball, and more, but Over the Garden Wall is able to accomplish what usually takes seasons of work for these shows, and does it in just 10 episodes. There's a different type of atmosphere the show is able to give off compared to the other ones that hasn't really been explored too deeply in children's television. There's an underlying darkness to each episode as you continuously watch it. It's also slow in pacing and really gives a chance for scenes to breathe and take their time, other than happening fast and leaving right after the action is complete. The characters are also really relatable, not only because of the sense of connection they can give off to the viewer, but because these are also characters with relatable flaws that can make the viewer put themselves in their shoes and connect to their plight. The designs and animation are also a huge highlight with original looking set pieces and character design that comes off as it's from a storybook. And given each episode is a chapter of an ongoing story, I feel this design choice was intentional. There's also this Victorian era feel with a setting that blends perfectly with the art that does its job staying in the mood for each episode. One moment you're appreciating the bright scenery, and the next you're dropped to a dark setting, and I really appreciate that. The final episodes are what bring this experience watching it together and wraps everything up in a dark but compelling story that can and will make you sit in silence after you're done watching it. I personally like to see Over the Garden Wall as a point in your childhood where you go from being a kid to being a young adult, and you have to confront what you're scared of in order to grow up. That's what this finale does, and no joke, I legit had tears in my eyes during the final few minutes. In the end, Over the Garden Wall really sets the high standard of being a cartoon that can be entertaining, dark, and leave an impact when it's over. I know I said this before, but I honestly can say Over the Garden Wall is a prime example of a cartoon not being just for kids. Sure, the design and characters can bring in a kid audience, but I feel the overall story is enough to get an adult audience mixed into the viewing as well. I initially brushed it off when it originally ran, and for that, I'm sorry, because this is a show that will stand the test of time and be a classic to watch and enjoy, especially during Halloween season.